Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, or welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Dana. I'm a mama to four, two of which I am currently homeschooling. This fall I'm going to have a first grader and a second grader, and as you can tell from the title down below, I'm going to be giving a flip through and a look at both the teacher guide and the workbooks for the Christian Light Education Grade 2 math program. If you've been here a while, or if you've seen any of my Christian Light Education content prior, you know that we completed the first grade Christian Light Education mathematics curriculum and we absolutely loved it. I will also kind of give you a rundown on how we liked it overall and kind of why we are choosing to continue it for the second grade. But yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So I wanted to start by really just sharing a couple of my favorite things about this curriculum in general. The first being, I actually love that instead of having one big thick textbook that they break it up into small light units. This gives you the ability as a parent to kind of see where the child is at and start or jump in wherever they are at academically. So you can flip through a little bit of them online and see where your child might be at and jump in wherever you want. So if your child is past maybe the first few light units, if you are halfway through a curriculum and maybe you want to make a switch, you can easily jump into this curriculum by just going online, seeing what is in it and looking at the scope of sequence and jumping in there. So it's a very affordable way if you want to or are needing to switch a curriculum. That's honestly just one of the pros of having the individual light units. Another pro for me, and this is something new that I'm doing this year, is I'm only purchasing half a year at a time, which is also a great option. So there's not a lot of math curriculums out there where it gives you the ability to purchase half of it at once. I don't really know of many other ones that give you that option, but this does because it is broken up into light units. So I only purchased the first 5, which is what we're going to be looking at today, as well as a teacher guide. I will do a separate flip through, probably the second halfway through the year for the second part of this curriculum. But for now, we are only going to go through the first 5 light units because that is what I purchased. And the reason why I did that, and I mentioned it in my second grade curriculum choice video, is because for our budget right now, it was just the most affordable thing to do is purchase half a year at a time, because it doesn't honestly save any money when you buy all 10 light units at once. There's not a bulk discount. If there was, I would have done it differently. But since there's not, it just made more sense financially for me to purchase the first 5 light units and to save that other part for it down the road when we're actually needing it. So that's kind of why I did it this year. It was just the affordability of it. It's a pretty affordable program in and of itself, but it makes it more affordable when you only do half a year at a time if your budget only allows for half a year at a time right now. So that's why we did it this way. Another reason why I love the actual light units is, as you can tell, each light unit is actually pretty thin. I love that they do this, and another reason why is because our kiddos actually get really excited whenever they complete one light unit. There is something about completing a book, putting it down, and picking up a brand new light unit that just makes them so excited, and it makes me as a teacher excited too, because I can visually see, okay, this is done, time to bring in a new one. And it's just a really fun thing for our family, and we've thoroughly enjoyed that. If you guys are new here, I'm a second generation homeschooler, and I actually did this program as well when I was little. So for the little years, I also did CLE. And I just remember being so excited whenever I was able to bring a new light unit out. It was just, yeah, it was the best. So yeah, just being able to buy a couple units at a time, even if you are not sure about this curriculum and want to give it a try for your family. I also love, again, that they're in light units because it gives you the ability to just buy one to see if you even like it without wasting a bunch of money. If it works, great, no money wasted. If it doesn't work, that's fine, because only $4 was put into testing it out. So for the actual program in and of itself, I have, and I mentioned this in plenty of other videos when it comes to Christian Light Education, that I have yet to find a more sound little years mathematics program. I find it to be straight to the point. It's open and go. I just need something in this phase of life that's open and go. I have, of course, my first grader and second grader, but I also have a toddler and then the baby. So for me, it just makes so much sense to have something that is, you open it, you go, there's no fluff, there's no instruction, there's just, you open and literally fill in all the answers, do all the problems and things like that. So we'll get to that in the flip through in a second, but I just love the actual ability to be able to grab this. This is all you need for the curriculum, and then you sit down with it. So those are the big pros for them being divided up into small light units. For the actual core curriculum in and of itself, as far as the mathematical content, I love it. So this curriculum has provided just a lot of freedom and flexibility to be able to just jump in and go. Learn the math facts and then move on with the day, instead of having it being drawn out and everything like that. We've tried a lot of different curriculums, and I actually had mentioned before as well that I spent a lot of time trying to find something that was brighter and more fun and colorful and all those things. But I always came back to this as being really what my kiddos need, because it does combine the perfect balance of that mastery / scholar approach to where the kiddos are going to get so much practice that I have found that they just really become masters at this subject. So I love this. And again, I'm in the little years right now, so I can only speak to this curriculum of how it works in the little years, which is wonderfully. So we'll see as time goes on if we continue using it, but for now it has been such a huge blessing to our family and has served us very, very well. But yes, with all that being said, and as the intro into the program, let's go ahead and get into the flip through. So for the actual teacher guide, you are of course going to have your table of contents here in the beginning. You're going to kind of have your course introduction. It's going to give you your course materials, how to teach the lesson, all of your actual symbols here that will be throughout the book. So these are all of the symbols that you're going to see that are going to require you to either check off or sign off on. You can utilize those or you don't have to. I typically don't, but this was designed for a classroom setting, so that's why they are there. And by the way, I wanted to mention this as well. There was actually a mama who commented that this whole part of the actual introduction, like the actual teacher guide, you can actually download this for free on the Christian Light website underneath the actual grade 2 course. So don't feel like you have to get this book just for this part, because that is actually free and accessible to you to grab whenever you want. So if you are not wanting to purchase the teacher guide and you just want a refresher on what these symbols mean throughout the book, you can download that for free. So this little symbol is just oral counting exercises. This is flashcard practice and speed drills. So for the story problem, something that I wanted to mention that I did for the entire first grade curriculum from CLE is I just made up my own story problem. So again, if you want to do that, you won't need the teacher guide in order to help you do that. But if you don't want to go through the problem or the process, I should say, of creating a story to go with that, then you can of course use a teacher guide. But I wanted to mention that as well. And then you're going to go into the actual overviews. Now, something that I do really like about the math in particular is every single unit is going to have the overview. So you can at a one-page glance really get an idea of the things and the skills and concepts that you're going to be learning. So for Light Unit 202, the same thing. So every unit is going to give you, as a parent teacher, an idea of everything that you'll need. So the optional thing that you could gather for the first lesson here would be a bathroom scale and a yardstick. And then second, your practice set of clocks, and a teaching clock is your suggested manipulatives and teaching aids. So I really like that they provide that. Another reason why I like this as well is if you do have a hands-on child and you will probably need the actual dollar bills and dollar coins, I'm going to link down below the teaching clocks, and then as well as the dollar bills, dollar coins, things like that we do have and utilize in our home in case you do want to get it all together before the start of the school year. But anyway, I do like how they have the overview. It makes it really nice. Sorry, it's windy. The curtains are flying everywhere. But I really like that they have that for the mama and as a teacher. It makes it really, really nice for planning purposes. So then you move into the actual Math 201 lessons, and it'll tell you kind of what to prepare. And then I'll open up the book here so we can kind of go along with it. This first light unit, you're going to start with something new. You're going to read the story to the kiddos. And the first lesson is going to be telling time, or kind of clockwork heavy. I also really like that they do the just for fun exercises. These are always really fun for my kiddos. Let's say I am however many years old. I have how many brothers and how many sisters. And it's just a really fun personalized thing to do. Find out how many bones you have, find out how much faster your heart beats than your daddy's heart. And so you learn how to do that. You practice again with the clocks on lesson 2. So it's really clock heavy on this light unit. And then in lesson 3, you're going to be going over matching the actual twins. So you're going to find the total of all of those numbers and find the matching pair. So again, a very, very solid math curriculum. And then also this unit is going to be very money heavy as well. If I remember seeing in the scope and sequence, that was the main priority. The first one was counting money and telling time for this one specifically. So this is where the play money would really come in handy. So I really like, and as I'm sure you can tell as well as we go ahead and flip through the next few lessons here, that every single concept is built on more and more with every single lesson. However, every single lesson is going to be different by some extent or by one thing or two things, you know. But I really like that they do that because every day is going to be a little bit different, whether it be in the order that they do it and things like that. And I love that they do that. It makes every day a little bit different than the last. And I do also really enjoy the fact that with the second grade, they have extra activity sheets in the back that you can do just for fun. It's not a necessity per se, but if you do need the extra practice, I do like that they include them. So just some fun little activities that they can do for that. And then in the back, of course, just like all the other Christian Light education books, they have all the speed drills in the back. Now, speed drills, I mentioned in my first grade math look here that speed drills weren't necessarily something we did for every single curriculum, but if you want to do that, that's an option for you to go ahead and do that. We looked at 201. For 202, the primary focus is going to be pairs, adding 2 to even numbers, 50 to 55 minutes past the hour, and then more add-ins, the 10 digits, adding on the number line, subtracting 2 from odd numbers, digital clock and dial clock, and then more with the money. So we will do a quick flip through here. Thing I forgot to mention, which I'm sure you already are aware of because I have talked about this several times before, and that is the light unit test. Typically before you even start the books, you will tear this out. And then I have also mentioned before on my channel as well that I don't do the actual test unless I really need extra practice. But the reason for that is I live in a state that doesn't necessarily require doing the actual testing. So this is an optional thing that I use as a more of a tool if we need extra mastery of concepts. But I have found that typically just doing the full lessons have been more than enough practice to master all the concepts. That was Light Unit 2, so the primary focus for Light Unit 3 would be your writing the fractions, your temperatures, equal parts, tally marks, copy problems with uneven digits, 0 is a placeholder, the difference, writing a solution, cups, pints, quarts, and then some more facts type focus stuff. So that's 203. The main concepts that they're going to be working on in 204, it's going to be counting by 3s to 12, words with special meanings, so each in a pair, 1/3 of a group, counting by 3s to 21, 1/4 of a group, the points and polygons, how many more, how many fewer, some more fractions, counting by 3s to 30, and things like that. I also like the fact too that they teach the students that for facts that subtract 9, the answer is 1 more than subtracting 10. It's a really quick way to subtract from 9, so I'm really glad that they mentioned that that was a good tip there. So that was a peek into 204. So for Light Unit 205, this is at the point where you are halfway now through the curriculum. One thing I wanted to highlight about 205 specifically is you're visiting the nature center in this book. If you've been around for a while, you know that my little guy adores anything outdoors and animal related. So again, this curriculum really is right up his alley. But in this book, you're going to be visiting the nature center. So you can actually visit a nature center and find out all the answers to these questions. But every single lesson is going to be one of the themes. So for example, lesson 1 is what is the heaviest insect? Well, in lesson 1, it says the Goliath beetle of Africa is the heaviest insect. You go into lesson 2, each night an owl can eat 1/2 of its weight in mice. So you're answering all of those questions at the beginning of the book, which are all nature related, animal facts, and I love that they do this. So that was a brief look and flip through of the first 5 light units for CLE. Now once we do purchase the second half of the curriculum, I am happy to flip through those for you guys. But for right now, as mentioned before, we're only doing half the year at a time. Apart from, of course, having all of the answers for each lesson, as well as like teaching tips, you're going to come to the back and it's going to, of course, have your scope and sequence. Now this is actually something that you can also just download for free online if you do want to look at it. So it's going to give you exactly what you're going to be doing for each light unit. So Light Unit 201, as we talked about, it's going to be your clock, addition and subtraction, fractions, numbers, money, and things like that. So I love that they have the scope of sequence here, but you can also, again, download that online if you do want to look at that. And then, of course, you're going to have your actual skills index. So if your child, for example, needs help with just one concept, so if he's struggling with cups and a pint, you come back here. And I love that they do this because this is every skill for the 2nd grade. And if they're needing help finding something, then you can just do, okay, well, days on a calendar. So it'll tell you what light unit and page to look that up. So if you need to go back for a reminder, it's all there for you, so you can easily look it up. So if you get halfway through the curriculum and you're like, you know what, we need to refresh on this concept, you just go to the back, or even with fractions and shapes and stuff, you just go to the back and look that up and it'll tell you exactly what page to do. That's why I honestly hold on to all the light units until the end of the year. So once all 10 are completed, then I will dispose of them, but I typically don't dispose as I go in case we need to go back and review. But I do love that they have the index here. do have this math reference chart. Now I actually, as I mentioned in my curriculum choices video, I actually did purchase that. Let me actually go grab that 1 second. So it's just this one right here. It's going to have the multiplication tables on it. It's going to have the using the tables to divide, multiplication names, division, multiples, fractions, addition names, and just some math actual terms that are going to be really handy. But this is the most handy part that's going to be, especially in the second part of the curriculum, because they're going to be doing a lot of different measurements. So whether it be lines by inches and foot, they're going to be doing a lot of liquid measurements, weights, temperature, and things like that. And then your beginning geometry, the actual terms. This is actually going to be really useful. Your polygons, circles, your geometry measurements. So this is one of those things that at the beginning of our school year this fall will be probably taped above his desk here, just so he himself can have an easy like open and go reference guide in front of him, which will be nice. And again, I wanted to mention as well and to remind you, if you did want to give it a try, you can always buy each individual light unit. You don't have to buy all of them at the same time. So wanted to throw that out there again because that's a huge, huge pro to me.